Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Kakodash. Give honors to the apostles and the elders that rule well, and peace and blessing to you brothers out there that's kicking his word in sincerity, also in truth. We're coming into some very exciting times, man. We're at the last leg of America's hegemony, which that word hegemony just simply means the dominance of a particular country. We're seeing that being end, and secondly, we're seeing the son of perdition being man for all his lies, you know, via all his lies that he has perpetuated on the earth, man. Which we know that son of perdition are Edomites, which are the bulk of the so-called white man. You see, he has used lies, to basically control the whole earth. Even dealing with his monetary system, man. You see, even with his monetary system, he would use that as a means to control the people, which is really fiat currency. It has no backing. It's not by gold. It's not backed by anything. You see, technically, it's an artificial demand for the petrodollar. You know, And so the other nations, they see this and they're getting upset, man. They're tired of America putting sanctions on them, things of that nature. And eventually the 10 horns, which are prescribed in Revelations and various chapters. One that comes to mind is Revelations, the 17th chapter. You see, and also 13th chapter. Those 10 horns are going, which we know to be uh, uh, the EU, / NATO. They're going to begin to hate the whore, man. You see, for all the lies that it has perpetuated on earth. So this is Second Thessalonians 2, and I started 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. And that falling away has happened to us, man. You know, through various captivities, we lost, our inheritance. But we're in the latter days, in those we're being raised up. The Most High has given us, his select man, the truth, man, to prophesy down for all this place, and also to wake up those dry bones that's described. And I want to say Ezekiel the 36th chapter. You see, he's waking us up and he's revealing to us, you see, who we are, not only who we are, but who the son of perdition is. You see, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God. And that's who is that? The so-called white man. The Most High, the so-called white man says there is no Most High. You see that by, evolution, that he is the most evolved being on the planet Earth, and he used that understanding as a rationalization to destroy now, the apple of the Most High eyes, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You see, and also to put the other nations in subjection, man. You see, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. That's right, and he's being revealed in his time, man. You see, his tongues, what's intriguing about, the Most High, he's setting it up to where his tongue is falling on himself, man. By this internet, he's being exposed for the devil that he is, and that word devil just simply means a deceiver. You know, that snake in the garden of Eden, man. You see, that cunning man, with those feigned words, and that word feigned means fake words. He's able to, control the whole world, man. And this is a small example, Okay, the Pentagon paid PR public relations firm five 540 million to make fake terrorist videos. You see, the Pentagon paid a UK PR firm $500 million to create fake terrorist videos in Iraq in a secret propaganda campaign exposed by the Bureau of Investigative Journalism. PR firm Bell Pittinger, known for its array of controversial clients, including the Saudi government and the Chilean dictator Augusto uh, Pinochet's foundation, worked with Slovakia, the U.S. military, to create the propaganda in a secretive operation. The firm reported to the CIA, the National Security Council, and the Pentagon on the project with a mandate to portray Al Qaeda in a negative light and track suspicious sympathizers. So, the U.S. government, what they did was, they made these videos, and sent them out in various ways. And so the people that watch these videos and sympathize with Al Qaeda, they were targeted. You see, but it was all based off of a lie, man. You see, both the White House and General David was it Reyes, the former general who shared classified information with his mistress, signed off on the content produced by the agency. You see, the Bell was it Pottinger operation started soon after the U.S. invasion of Iraq and was tasked with promoting the democratic elections for the administration, moving before moving on the more lucrative psychological and information operations. Former employee Michael Wells told the Bureau how he found himself working out in Iraq after being hired as a video editor by Bell Pottinger. Within 48 hours, he was landing in Bangladesh to edit content for secret psychological operations at Camp Victory. The firm created television ads showing Al Qaeda in a negative light, as well as creating content to look as though it had came from Arabic TV. So not only are they targeting people that sympathize with Al Qaeda, but they're actually lying on an entire country, man. You see, crews were sent out to film bombings with low quality video. The firm would then edit it to make it look like news footage. And this is one small example. At least six reasons existing for keeping uh, your alert level at its highest level. This is an example. You see, ISIS is set up. It's set up, to create coups, disrupt that government over there. They would craft scripts for Arabic soap operas where characters would reject terrorism with happy consequences. The firm also created fake Al Qaeda propaganda videos, which were then planted by the military in homes they raided. Employees were given specific instructions to create the video. We need to make this style of video, and we've got to use Al Qaeda's footage. Was told. We need it to be 10 minutes long, and it needs to be in this file format. and we need to encode it in this manner. The videos were created to play on real players which needed an internet connection to run. The CDs were embedded with a coding link linking to Google Analytics, which allowed the military to track IP addresses that the videos were played on. That's why it's very important for brothers to be very careful about what they post, on the internet in particular, on these social media sites, man, because they're tracking us, and they're gonna eventually use what Jake posts on these various sites against them, man. That's why the scriptures that says that every other word that a man use or says he will be judged, man. So it's very important that brothers are being careful, you know, what they put on these social media sites, man. Because they use various means in order to track people who they deem as terrorists. And you better believe that, we here at GMS were deemed as terrorists, man. You know, According to Wells, the videos were picked up in Iran, Syria, and the US. If one 48 hours or a week later shows up in another part of the world, then that's the more interesting one, Wells explained. And that's what they're they're looking for more, because that gives you a trail. The Pentagon confirmed the PR firm did work for them under the operation out of the Information Operation Task Force, like creating content they was truthful. The firm also worked under the Joint Psychological Operation Task Force. The Pentagon said it could not comment on GPOTF operations. U.S. law prohibits the government from using propaganda on its population, hence the use of an outside firm to create the content, which is BS. Right? That's the U.S. government used propaganda in various ways to induce people to buy certain things. So, I don't agree with that statement. That's just a lie. Documents show the Pentagon paid 540 million to Bell Pottinger in contracts between 2007 and 2011, with other contracts for 120 million in 2006. The firm ended its work with the Pentagon in 2011. Okay, in 2009, it was reported that the Pentagon had hired controversial PR firm, the Redding Group, to monitor the reporting of journalism embedded with the U.S. military to assess whether they were giving positive coverage to its missions. It was also revealed in 2005 that Washington-based PR company, the Lincoln Group, had been placing articles in newspapers in Iraq, which were secretly written by the U.S. government. A Pentagon investigation cleared the group of any wrongdoing. And this is how the so-called white man operates. He operates with lies and deceit to push his hidden agenda. You see, that's his MO. This is how he get down. But let me get this in Psalms the 12th chapter. This is Psalms 12 and 3. Yahweh shall cut off all flattering lips, and the tongue that speaketh proudly. That's right. And how is he doing that? We systematically revealing the lies of the so-called white man, which again are Edomites. You see, by the various news outlets, alternative news, uh, um, you know, these various groups, that are so-called truthers, on the internet, and ultimately by the prophets of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai. He's revealing the wickedness of the so-called white man. You see, verse 4, who have said, with our tongues we shall prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? You see that? Let's read that one more time. Who have said, with our tongues we shall prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is the Lord over us? And that's the mindset of the so-called white man. You know, he lies so much that he believes his own lies. You see, he use all these vain words and political jargon in order to rationalize his wickedness, and he believes his own tongue. He believes his own dark sayings. You see, we showed you that the majority, well, not the majority, Edomites are really satanic. You see, they believe in the whole concept of do what thou will. You see, whatever is good for you, do it to the best of your ability. That's how they ruled the whole world. And that's why you see the whole world in turmoil, man, whether it be the people or the actual earth itself, man, is being destroyed under the rulership of Edomites. You see, which again are you so-called, the majority of you so-called white people. You see, for the oppression of the poor, for the sighing of the needy, now will I rise, said Yahweh. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. And that's what we're looking for. You see, we're looking to be saved from this man's hegemony. You see, and again, that word hegemony is a leadership or dominance, especially by the one control or one country or a social group over others. You see, with this man, being in power, which is really a continuation of the Roman Empire. You see, and also the Greeks. He spread his whole culture on the entire earth and also the inhabitants of the earth, man, in particular. You see, the uh the language of commerce, for instance, the language of commerce, which doing business, which that means doing business in between countries, is what? It's English, man. You see, when a so-called white man takes over these various countries, what does he do? Well, he sets up um uh you know homosexuality in these various countries and paint it as democracy, as he says that he's giving the people so-called free will, which that free will in the eyes of the so-called white man is synonymous with debauchery. And you see that same example where in a book of Maccabees. You see, it's the same people doing the same things. The Macedonians, the Greeks. Let's get that, man. Because when he goes to these various countries, you know, he has set up the culture, you know, his culture in these countries, man. And that's the same thing that Alexander the Great, or like the Apostle Gabar like to says Alexander the Creep did. You see, Alexander the Creep had a passion for spreading um the so-called well, not the so-called, the Greek culture, man, you know, which is a term called Hellenization. You see, and it was intriguing about when you do when you read on the history of the Greek culture or the Greek Empire, which established around 331 BC and it lasted from 146 BC. You see, one of the things that is heavily emphasized is how that Greek culture was um, spread across the known world, man. If you look at the the empire of the Greeks, man, it was actually pretty huge. You know, it was it spread from the Asian Minors to Egypt, all the way to the borders of India. You know, which was very huge, man. And the thing that they imposed was you had to study, you had to come under the Greek culture, which was started by Alexander the Great, man. You see, and also you know, continued by Antiochus Epiphanes, man, which was very wicked to us. You see. Now let's start at verse 1. First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, and if you do research on Philip, the Macedonian, he conquered the southern peninsula of Macedonia and unified the Greeks. Because prior to that, the Greeks were infighting, man. You see, there was always infighting going on, and there's actually a dark ages in the time during the times of the Greek, where you know not a lot of literature and things of that nature was coming out. You see, people want to say that the Greeks did a lot of great things, but they didn't really do anything, man. They didn't do much, but spread their the culture or their hegemony across the known world. But anywho, and it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, which is Italy, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of the nation of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted in his heart, and his heart was lifted up. Now Alexander the Great, he conquered the known world, swiftly. That's why he's prescribed as a leopard in Daniel the seventh chapter, because it took him 12 years to conquer the majority of the whole of the known world, which is very impressive when you look at again, we look at the map of what all he conquered. You see, very impressive. Matter of fact, if I can, let me pull it up for you guys, man. Please, I keep on referring to it, so just for edification, I'll pull it out for you guys. You see how big, how much he took over, man. Very impressive. Take a look at that. So he took over all this region, you know, in a 12-year span, man. In a 12-year span, which is very impressive, And really, if you do research, it's just a continuation of the Persian Empire. And he pushed the borders. You see, pushed the borders even more so. You know, back to verse 4, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Before he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was still alive. And so Alexander reigned 12 years and died. And he was a young man when he died. He was only like 42. But to uh let's jump down to King Antiochus. Now King Antiochus came out of those four generals. Uh he came out of Seleucid, uh, you know, the Seleucid Empire, which reigned in Syria. and they were rivals with the Ptolemaic Empire. Now this is verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And that's the same mindset that the so-called white man has today. You see, that's why he pushes homosexuality, on the people. That's why he pushed, his Christianity on people, man. He felt that like it was his duty, to cultivate, the indigenous people of these various lands that he came into. You see? And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And you see that same mindset now. You see, these various governments, leaving uh, their various ways of doing things and coming under the banner of democracy. Case in point, when America funded those coups in Egypt, you know, they had the first democratic elections. You see, when he took over Gaddafi in Libya, you see, and set up so-called democracy. You see, now in the Middle East, you see, which those places are North Africa. Now you see in the Middle East, you see them having their first gay parade. Why is that? Because they're coming under the same manner of the Greeks. You see, forcing everybody to be one people, man. Which goes back to that main topic, man. He uses all these lies and deceit to control the world. You see? So let's go back to let's go and get another scripture. Let's get Psalms. Get Psalms 10. Psalms 10 and 7. Now this is Psalms 10 and 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. That's right. And that's what you see in the so-called white man. His mouth is full of lies, deceit, and fraud, man. And he uses that deceit and fraud, as a means to control the masses, man. It isn't about giving these people freedom. It's about control. And the other nations are getting tired of it, man. You see, they're ready they're bucking up against that great whore, that has controlled the world, that has lived deliciously. You see, he sitteth in lurking places of the villages, in these secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are previously set against the poor. And a beautiful example of that is what we just read, man. You see, what we read dealing with how the Pentagon spend over $500,000, to lie about the Al Qaeda terrorist group. You see, he's sitting in lurking places, man, sitting in the background, devising all types of deceit, in order to, condone him going to these various countries and destroying them. You see, it's in Daniel 25. You know, now this is Daniel 8 and 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself uh in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. That's right. So we understand that this is talking about who? The Edomites, man. This isn't talking about the Arabs. This is talking about the Edomites, because we understand by prophecy, you see, the person that's ruling right now has to be the Edomites, man. And through biological process of elimination, we know that to be the so-called white man. You see, he's using this craft, as a means to to control the people, bro. You know, let me see if somebody on the live chat right quick. Nah, look like solo dolo today. It's all good though. Yeah, it's all good. You know? Yes. But let's go back to the scriptures and read it one more time. Daniel 8 and 25. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. That's right. So the so-called white man, you know, he's going to stand up against the prince of princes, but he's going to be destroyed, man, by Yahweh, by Shem Shah, man. Which we know that this place has to be Babylon the Great. You see? Now this is Daniel 7 and 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn before where there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. And we know that that little horn is America, man. There's three little horns that came out of the three little horns in which that little horn came out of, where it's Spain, French, and the British, man. You see, by the Revolution, the Spanish American Wars. You know what I'm saying? The French and Indian Wars. America was able to become a superpower, man. You see, and also he began to speak great things, man. Put all these other nations under captivity, and he used that currency as a means to do so. That petrodollar as a tool, or one of his tools to do so, man. That and with his military might. Okay, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his hair like the pure wool. His throne was like the fury flame, in his wheels as burning fire, and that's talking about Yahweh. Uh, a fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000, times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set in the book. Books were open. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. That's right. So the Most High is going to destroy, that little horn that's been speaking those great, those fame words, man. Again, that word fame means faith. Let's jump down to verse 13. I saw in the night vision, behold, one like the Son of Man come with the clouds of heaven, and come to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all nations, all peoples, like nations and languages, should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, in his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. And that's talking about who? Yahweh Shai. You see? Yahweh Shai, when he returns, he's going to destroy, what I'm saying, that little horn, or that whore, which is spoken about in in Revelations, man. Revelation the 11th chapter. You see? This Revelations 11:1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven seals, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, which whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. You know, uh, uh what is that fornication, man? Idol worship, you know, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunken with the wine of her fornication. Now, is that literal wine? No, that wine is talking about, the philosophy of America, man, which is pushed on the whole earth. You see, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And that's NATO and EU. You see, and the woman was arrayed in blue, and it's like in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, mystery, uh, mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and abomination of the earth. Now, why is America likened unto Babylon? Well, if I can, you brothers, give me 2 seconds. What I do is I want to pull out this commentary, which I thought was very edifying concerning why this place is considered Babylon the Great. It says the harlot would do what literal Babylon did in the past. One is oppress the Most High's people, which we were sold into a sore captivity here in America, man. You know, which include the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American. You see, we were sold over here on cargo slave ships, and also our so-called native brothers. You know, and if you want to get technical, Latinos were sold to the old world, man, in cargo slave ships. You see, we were beaten, you know, and stripped of any culture that we had, were forced to assimilate, to the way of the so-called white man, much like the Greeks did to us in time in the past, man. You see, Also, it says it propagated a false religious system. Much of the world's idolatry can be traced back to historical Babylon, including the mother-child cult of Semiramis Tammuz, which entered other cultures as Ashtaroth, Baal, Aphrodite, Eros, Venus, Cupid, and even Madonna Child. You know, so just as ancient Babylon perpetuated idol worship, you know, America has done the same thing. You see, worshiping of women, what I'm saying, painted on a human, female rights. You see, pushing homosexuality. Pushing Molech. Painting as abortions and so-called free choice. You know, this is what this place is pushing. And it's full of the abominations of the earth. You see, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahushua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. That's right. So we know that to be soon too, man. And that happened in times past. You know, We were mortars, you know, in in Rome and things of that nature, and we're going to be more. Some of us are going to be mortars here. You see, we're going to have to die for the truth, you know, which is going to happen soon. Now let's jump down to verse 17, slightly verse 16. And 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That's right. So the 10 horns, they're gonna begin to hate the whore, man. And why is that? Because they're tired of again the control that America has, or that hegemony that America has on the world, man. You see, and one of those tools again is the American dollar. And what do you see going on? What you seeing these various nations, they're backing away from the American dollar. You see? Now, let's read this article. Now, this is according to global research. It says the currency war will escalate as China's petro yuan challenges the U.S. military-backed petrodollar. Of relevance, the ongoing currency war, first published in November 2017. Now, I want to say this was written in September. This is written on September 16, 2018. So I guess this is alluding back to an article that written in 2017 in November. One quote that always crosses my mind regarding the decline of the U.S. dollar and the state of geopolitics associated with it is by Gerald Salente, former of the Trans Research Institute, who said that when all else fails, that take you to war. As the U.S. dollar continues to lose its status as the world's premier reserve currency, the reality of a world war seems inevitable, especially that when major countries such as China, Russia, and Iran are making strategic moves to bypass the U.S. dollar in favor of all of other currencies such as China's petro yuan. China has made the decision to price oil in their own currency, the yuan, by a new gold back futures contract, which will change the dynamics of the world's currency. Now, just for edification, I'm not saying that China, Russia, nor Iran is a part of those 10 horns. These latter countries that I just named, they aren't a part of the 10 horns, just for edification. Okay. Now these are the other nations that are taking up a parable against America, and you can allude to Habakkuk, the second chapter, which we'll get. Okay, so that I just want to bring that out just for edification. China is preparing to launch the petro yuan later this year, that will eventually threaten the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. At the end of World War II, the international economic system was in shambles, so a plan was devised to create a new economic system. By July 1944, more than 730 delegates arrived in the United Nations Monetary and Financial Conference in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, and signed on to the historic Bretton Woods Agreement, which was a plan to set up a system of rules, regulations that eventually led to the creation of the International Bank of Reconstruction and Development, the IBRD, and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. And this made the American dollar, you know, very, very strong, because at the time the American economy was really one of the only economies that was still intact. You see, The IMF's main purpose was to prevent any temporary imbalances of payments. The framework of the Bretton Woods Agreement was to control the value of money between various countries. Each country had uh, each country had to have an established monetary policy that kept the exchange rate of its own currency within a fixed value in terms of gold. By 1971, which is by President Nixon, you know, he made an agreement with Saudi Arabia for them to buy and sell oil using the American dollar. In exchange, America would sell them military technology and also protect them militarily wise. Okay. By 1971, the U.S. Terminated the convertibility of the U.S. dollar to gold. At the time, the fixed rate of gold was at $35 an ounce, ending the Bretton Woods system, allowing the U.S. dollar to become a fiat currency, which has allowed central banks, especially the Federal Reserve Bank, to quote print money out of thin air. See, so the American dollar, it's the demand of it is really artificial. You see, and that's why you see America even more so now putting various sanctions on these different countries that try to back out of the American dollar, man. You see, they try to buy and sell out of the American dollar. That's why you see Trump going so hard because well, we're about to read why. You see China and Russia, you know, building a whole system, you know, building a whole system that in which they don't have to use the American dollar. You see, so Trump, what is he trying to do? He's trying to hold on to the power of that American dollar, man. You see, China's move will have consequences. For starters, it will certainly undermine Washington's ability to impose economic sanctions on any nation at will, and at the same time will slowly diminish the purchasing power for U.S. Consumers as imports become more expensive. China, the largest holder of U.S. debt, is the largest importer of oil, while Russia, one of the largest exporter of oil in the world, have agreed to use the petro yuan to bypass the petrodollar. The petro yuan threatens the U.S. dollar's hegemony around the globe, as several nations have recently demonstrated as they have shared the interest in joining the transition from the US dollar to the yuan for oil transitions, including Washington's arch enemy, Iran, Venezuela, and even Indonesia, currently not on Washington's hit list. The mainstream media has been reporting on the latest developments concerning China's plan to bypass the dollar and introduce the petro yuan to the international community. In an article by CNBC titled "China Has Grand Ambitions to Dethrone the Dollar," it may make a powerful move this year. And this is quoting the CNBC. China is looking to make a major move against the dollar's global dominance, and it may come as early as this year. The new strategy is to enlist the energy's market's help. Beijing may introduce a new way to purchase oil in coming months, but unlike the contract based on the U.S. dollar that currently dominate global markets, this benchmark would use China's own currency. If there is widespread adoption, as the Chinese hope, then that will make a step toward challenging the greenback status as the world's most powerful currency. China is the world's top oil importer, and so Beijing sees it as only logical that its own currency should price the global economy's most important commodity. But beyond that, moving away from the dollar is a strategic priority for countries like China and Russia. Both aim to ultimately reduce their dependency on the greenback, limiting their exposure to U.S. currency risk and the politics of American sanctions and sanction regimes. Washington is on a collision course for another war with North Korea and the U.S. President Donald Trump leading the with the U.S. Donald Trump leading the charge, which I don't think this is going to be a war with North Korea. I think it's just smoke screens, but that's a whole nother topic. With the power of the U.S. dollar on life support, the U.S. empire uh, of debt continues to use the threat of war in some cases wage actual wars against the world, namely Iran, Syria, and Venezuela, which have been on America's, it's like on Washington's hit list for some time. Iran and Russia are already slowly transitioning away from the U.S. dollar to avoid any future economic sanctions imposed by Washington. Venezuela is also ready and willing to make its move against the U.S. dollar. Reuters did report on the decision made by the Manduro government to implement a new system of international payments for its oil imports. This report headlined with Venezuela's Maduro's saying says will shun U.S. dollar in favor of yuan. Others quoted with Maduro's had said during a session of on the National Constitute Assembly of at Palacio Federal legis- Legislative Legislativo in Carrasco's Venezuela. Venezuela is going to implement a new system of international payments and will create a basket of currencies to free us from the dollar. And what's going on in Venezuela? Well, Venezuela is going through a famine. Why is that? Because the sanctions that America imposed on it, man. You see, Venezuela is rich in commodities, particularly oil, but they can't buy or sell. Well, it can't sell its oil because of America, man. So you see places like Venezuela, they're trying to get away from the grip that America has, man. And the other countries, they're gonna follow suit too. You see, as we just read, Russia and China. You see, which is prophecy. You know, which is again prophecy, man. And that's what it's all about. The other nations are getting tired of this place. Let's have a cool the second chapter. Now, this Habakkuk 2 and 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come. It will not tarry. And this is the time that we're living in now, brothers. You know, we're living in a time that it's becoming crystal clear that America is about to fall. All we have to do is be patient, wait on the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and also fulfill our end of the bargain by continuing to doing the work, continuing to toil in this thing, man. You see, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desires hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And who is that? Who has done that? Historically speaking, man, the Edomites. The Edomites. You see, which are the majority of the so-called white people. You see, and now you have that little horn, you know what I'm saying, that's being exposed, which is America, which is also that horde that's riding on that beast, you know what I'm saying, that has 7 heads and ten horns, which is the EU and NATO. You see, this place is being exposed, you know, it's ruled the whole world with lies and deceit, man. It has you know, induced all these various nations to be drunk, you know. Why is that? So they could take a so it, alluding to America, could take advantage of it. You see, shall not all these take up a parable, excuse me, against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that thick clay is debt. Let's prove that. It's for edification. It's for edification. You know, the thick clay is debt. I bought yacht. You know, bought yachts. It says wages of pledges, heavy debts, and that's really what the American dollar is. It's a fiat currency. It's a debt. It's an IOU. It has no value, and you use that debt as a means to control the whole world, man. And the other nations, they're getting fed up. So you Edomites, Esau is being exposed, man. You see, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, in a weight that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of of man's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and all that dwell therein. That's right. So everybody's going to look at this place, you know, and they're gonna take up a parable against it, man. They're gonna say, man, this place is wicked, man. America's filthy. And that's what you see in the other nations doing. You see? And eventually America is gonna be destroyed, man, because the other nations are mad. You see? And the other nations are gonna eventually rise up against this place, man. Verse 7. There we go. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that have made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. These other nations are upset here at America, man. Chiefly because that petrodollar, man. With that petrodollar, he's able to put various sanctions on these nations, man. You know, control the you know, the politics, man. You know, dictate what you know, to them what's right and wrong, man. You see, the other nations are tired of it. Babylon is falling. It's like Babylon is suddenly falling and destroyed. How for her? Take bond for her, for her pain, for so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reaches up unto heaven, and it is lifted up even to the skies. That's right. The Most High is going to totally, utterly destroy. You know what I'm saying? This place, America, Babylon the Great. It's going to be a short destruction. It's going to be a beautiful thing, man. you know. So both are willing. This sit down was edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Wakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the others that rule well. Peace and blessing to you, brothers out there that's kicking the word and sincerity and truth. Hold on, brothers. Though it tarry, wait for it. We almost out of this thing, man. By our prophecy, we know that we only have but a short time. Build up your faith, build on each other, man. Let's keep on going, brothers. Shalom.